Okay, so we are in the week of November 9th through the 12th. We are going to be finishing up digestive system and body metabolism. We have exam 12 this week over chapters 12 through 14. So that's going to be lymphatic system, respiratory system, and digestive system. Okay. All right. And we're actually going to probably start urinary system today. Try to get that done so that we can try to finish up reproductive system next week, because after Thanksgiving, everything else will be online. So I'm trying to get through everything so at least you've seen it before we go to just being online. So going over finishing up digestive today, starting urinary. All right, so picking up where we left off, chemical digestion. All right, so we talked about the organs, right? So now we're more of the anatomy. We've done some physiology, but a lot of anatomy in terms of organs. Now we're going to talk a little physiology in terms of what's going on chemically. All right, so you have digestive enzymes in your digestive system, and they're considered hydrolytic enzymes. Remember, enzymes are a class of protein, and they're hydrolytic, which means they have acid and they can break things down. Okay, so, or H plus, which is considered acid, hydrogenized. All right, and they can break down different substances by adding water, hence hydro, right, at specific bonds. Okay, and they have a preferred pH. Remember, pH is a measure of acidity where they function. Okay. All right, we also have carbohydrates. So remember that, the class of biomolecule. So one of the carbohydrates that's involved in digestion is salivary amylase. All right, well, and technically it is salivary amylase is actually an enzyme, it's a protein, but it breaks down carbohydrates, okay? And it breaks those carbohydrates down into maltose, okay? All right, the action of salivary amylase stops in the stomach. It's too acidic for salivary amylase to work. All right, you also have pancreatic amylase. So pancreatic amylase is going to continue the hydrolysis, remember, breaking down things with water to form maltase or maltose. You have what we call brush border enzymes in your small intestine, and they're going to help break down disaccharides. Remember, saccharides is a type of sugar. It means that they have essentially two sugar pieces because it's disaccharide, and breaks them down into monosaccharides, breaks that bond. Particularly, it's going to break them down into glucose. Okay, and so there are several of those. Sucrose is broken down by sucrase. Okay, lactose is broken down by lactase. Okay, makes sense. Maltose is broken down by maltase. Okay, sucrose, lactose, and maltose are all disaccharides. All right, so the monosaccharides, once they are separated out, get absorbed by cells in your intestines, and they get transferred into capillaries, okay, in your bloodstream. Okay, so that's how your body is able to get access to those nutrients. Okay, they go through the pores and the capillaries. Remember, also has to do with digestion or diffusion, excuse me. You have a higher concentration of monosaccharides in your small intestine than you do in your blood capillaries. So where are they going to go? They're going to go where there's low concentration, go into the blood capillaries, go to the rest of your body. All right, so here's an image, shows you steps of carbohydrate absorption and digestion. So this part is just the digestion. So here we're in the small intestine here. We know that because we've got pancreatic amylase. All right, here's your starch, breaking down your starch into maltose. All right, and then you're gonna have maltase, which is going to break down your maltose into glucose molecules. Okay, you go from a chain of at least 4, probably more than that, to chains of 2 to individual pieces. Okay, so think of it as, I don't know, I don't eat a lot of candy anymore, but a Kit Kat bar. You've got different pieces, right? So first you're breaking it maybe in half, and then you're breaking the individual pieces off, right? That's kind of how it works. Okay. So all right, and here's your epithelial cell of your intestinal villus. Here's which basically means this is the lining of your intestine. Here's your capillary. Now that glucose that's been separated out can diffuse through the pores in the capillary, go into the bloodstream. All right. Proteins are also heavily involved in digestion. Many of those proteins are involved as enzymes. Okay. Pepsin, is in the stomach, and it hydrolyzes proteins, makes short polypeptides. Okay, so it's pepsin because it's breaking down peptides. You also have 3 pancreatic proteinases. Okay, come from the pancreas. Trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase, and I think we talked about those in the previous week or video. And they can break down different polypeptides. Remember, polypeptides are named for a protein. Break them down to peptides, and also can break some of those peptides down into individual amino acids. Remember, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, right? Okay, peptidases, also known as brush border enzymes, or a class of brush border enzymes. So they'll complete digestion of those peptides by breaking them down into individual amino acids. So just like the enzymes that worked on carbohydrates broke down disaccharides into monosaccharides, here we're breaking down peptides into individual amino acids. And that happens in the small intestine. So amino acids, they get absorbed by intestinal cells into your capillaries, okay, and go into your bloodstream. Similar to what happened with the monosaccharides. All right, so this picture deals with protein digestion and absorption. But a similar pathway. So here's your polypeptide. You have pancreatic proteases, okay, and they break down the large polypeptide into small peptides. Peptidase is going to break that small peptide into individual amino acids, which can be diffused into the capillaries. All right, another class of biomolecules involved in the digestive system are fats. So fats get what we call emulsified by blood in the duodenum. Then fats will get digested by an enzyme called pancreatic lipase. And they'll get broken down into glycerol and fatty acids. Okay, so if you remember back when we talked about biomolecules, we had the triglycerides, those were basically glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Okay, so breaking things down into their component parts again. Same kind of thing we've seen with the proteins and carbohydrates. All right, now we're going to have intestinal cells where your fatty acids get packaged as lipoproteins, which means proteins with some fat on them. Okay. And then those proteins will enter the lacteals, okay, going into the lymphatic system. Okay, so here are your bile salts. Remember, bile is produced in the liver, stored in the, anybody remember? Starts with AG. It's part of your digestive system. It's a little pouch by your liver. Gallbladder. Okay. So these bile salts get released and they essentially surround these fat globules and they emulsify the fats. All right. And lipase will come in and break those down into monoglycerides and free fatty acids. Okay. And those fatty acids can diffuse into lymphatic capillaries. Okay. And they can be transported to your body that way. Okay. So we've talked about carbohydrates, we've talked about proteins, we've talked about fats. Other class of biomolecules are nucleic acids. All right. Wouldn't be a complete discussion of digestion without bringing them up too, right? So with nucleic acids, you have pancreatic nucleases that are going to break down DNA and RNA into different or individual nucleotides. Okay, you have brush border nucleotidases, and they're going to break down your nucleotides into their component parts: sugar, phosphate, and nitrogenous bases. Okay, this kind of should at least remind you a little bit of when we studied the chemistry chapter of biomolecules. If you need to go back to that video, I think that might be a good one. All right. So these chemicals are going to enter your intestinal cells and then go into capillaries, okay, to get it's just transferred throughout your body. All right, so this table, okay, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it just kind of breaks down the different enzymes by, where they're produced, where they work, whether their pH is acidic, basic, or neutral, what they do, how they break things down, what's their role in digestion. Okay, but we've covered pretty much all of these. Okay. All right, let's pause there and talk to your partner about what you learned about chemical digestion. You can do this at home as well. So now that we've covered chemical digestion, let's move on to effects of aging. Every organ system we talk about aging and homeostasis. So let's get into talking about aging. So what impact does aging have on your digestive system? Well, I'm glad you asked. So there are at least a dozen, right? Because we got a dozen listed here. But some of the major ones include increased incidence of disorders affect the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, periodontitis, which has to do with the teeth, right? Getting inflammation in the teeth area. All right, dental issues. Getting esophageal hiatal hernias. Okay. Heartburn. And that GERD we mentioned in one of the previous videos. Peristalsis slows. Remember, peristalsis is that kind of involuntary rhythmic movement of food down your esophagus and down your digestive tract. All right. You may get more frequent peptic ulcers. Okay, as that lining of that digestive system gets, worn out over time. Constipation, diverticulosis, from not getting enough fiber in the diet. Our liver can shrink as you get older. You can get difficulties occurring with the gallbladder, whether it's gallstones, okay, other issues in terms of maybe blocking those bile ducts. Increased incidence of cancer in the digestive tract. You know, you've probably heard of things like colon cancer, things like that. All right, stomach cancer, liver cancer. All right. Hemorrhoids, okay, sometimes that can happen as you get older more often, okay, maybe your body's not absorbing enough water, okay, can lead to trouble, you know, when you're trying to use the restroom. All right, and fecal incontinence in terms of not being able to control your bowel movements. All right, let's talk more about homeostasis with the digestive system. Okay, so for homeostasis, your alimentary canal, okay, is also considered part of your endocrine system. Okay, and so we're involving the digestive and the endocrine system. The nutrients will get absorbed by your alimentary canal. You use those for repair, for growth, for energy. All right, you need vitamins so you can grow and develop. You also need minerals to help you with different body processes. Okay. All right, and this is just kind of an illustration of different organ systems working together. All right, so your digestive tract helps you provide vitamin D, kind of helps you with your skin. All right, you need nutrients for the rest of your body. So pretty much all your organ systems are going to benefit from having nutrients, particularly your muscular system. Digestive system, your skeletal system is going to benefit when you digest calcium, right? When you go to your bones, muscles as well benefit from that calcium. So many of the processes that are involuntary are controlled by your nervous system. So there's some nervous system. You also have pancreatic, other enzymes and hormones that are involved with the endocrine system. Okay. You also are going to have some interaction between digestive and urinary system in terms of absorbing and filtering the blood and getting out water. Okay, so many different interactions. Okay. Well, that's going to conclude our discussion of the digestive system. And we will see you in the next video as we discuss the urinary system.